So she's going to be down the hall. And then downstairs, we're going to have Elif. Are you here? Hi. Yep, yep. And she's going to be downstairs in the boardroom. And it's a nice boardroom that's got some windows and stuff. And you'll be talking about iPads and, yeah, using the iPads. Now, down there, there's only, so I think the people that have signed up are basically the only people that are able to go because there's only 12 spots down there. It's a smaller room, so it'll be a little bit more intimate. That's why there was a change. The other group is a bit bigger.
And I can lead you guys down there. Just
yeah. I left my map. So if you want to have a break, stretch your legs. We're going to start these next presentations at 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello.
okay. I can Jimmy will be able to
We're still doing stuff.
Okay. Let me get out of here.
Ask Usain can phone Jamil right now if you need him to. Hello. Hi, Kim. Hi. Are you ready for me now, or should we wait for 10 minutes? We're just setting up. We've got Q&A operating, and Linda will be running this. We just wanted to get ready to start. So nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. My pleasure.
You want the maps up here, right?
Hi, Kim.
Hi.
Okay.
Is she coming to the screen? Yep. Okay.
Yeah, she will be. You just need to.
Linda, I really want to
You want the first one map or which one?
Sure. I'll probably need
Okay, so I'm going to make this is not displaying.
You lost it. What are you doing?
Well, I'm just trying to plug in. It's not recognizing a signal. Kim?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm just going to stop the broadcast for a second.
Okay.
We're just trying to plug in the signal. Sorry.
Can we just go like this for a minute?
Oh, yeah.
Should we go to
Here, I'm going to bring them down to the admin boardroom.
It's downstairs in the boardroom.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring them down. I don't know what to do with this though because I'm just gonna put up the agenda right now.
John's just getting salami. Yeah. Okay, yeah,
I'll just put up the agenda right now.
Great, cool.
We've lost it completely. No.
Need to
Close down.
Yeah, stop this and get people hooked up. Does this computer normally hook up pretty easily? Yeah. Of course.
What is
but I'll watch on the back part. Okay. So then if you go over here and get your Q&A. Yeah.
But then do we have? Let me just have a look.
Meth University is here. Ben Hill is here. Meth School.
Oh yeah, if you hadn't invited her, I would have thought of that.
Well, I have.
Yeah.
But then is it public?
And then you can have public as, but
We're going public, aren't we, to allow the Q&A?
Yeah, but I think you set that already. I think you're just adding someone else.
Okay.
I think.
Do you
So
want to see?
let's try with this. Let's get Kim in,
Okay.
right? Because we don't want anybody else to participate in this,
Okay.
right? But we do want people to be able to participate in the Q&A.
Hi, Cam. Hi. We're back, and we're
back
actually on the screen.
Okay.
If everybody wants to come and join us again. Sure, you can come up. Just make sure that you can see the screen.
Okay. So you're using this computer though for you, aren't you? Yep. So can I turn this to mute so that you're not picking that up? No, because
you're the one.
Yeah,
you're the one broadcasting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, just make sure that you can see this screen because then you can see Kim Pepino.
No, I think the other two went two different sessions.
Is everybody okay at the back there? Yeah.
But we need to see.
I didn't see it.
Okay.
That's cool.
I'd rather not see me either.
Okay.
Okay.
Kim, there are a lot more people in here, but they're more this way. So,
Okay.
yeah. Looking at what you're seeing, you're going, there's only 3 people. No, there's a whole bunch of people, but they're in
Do you
the
want me to
nether
try
part.
it?
Yeah.
No
That's okay.
worries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Just introduce myself really quickly. I'm Linda D'Amica from Sophia. I live in the Naval American School in Sophia. And I've worked with Tom. We was it only just last year that we were in LTEN. Last year, and we're really excited to be back here again. I'm really excited to be able to introduce Kim's keynote for this discussion on environments with 2 devices to 1 student. Not the other way around with 1 device to 2 students, but 2 devices to 1 student. And just a quick show of hands. Anybody here not know who Kim's keynote is? Okay,
Oh my God, that's so much pressure. I have to know who I am. Don't worry.
I asked because I didn't want to spend time introducing you too much if everybody was aware of who Kim is. And I asked that because I have followed the work for many, many, many years. If you can find her, to follow her, she blogs prolifically about all things tech and education related. She's an Apple Distinguished Educator. She believes in inquiry and constructivist-based learning and global and collaborative learning environments. So she's here to help us today understand a pilot program they're about to undertake with 2 devices to 1 student. And I think at that, Kim, I'll probably turn it over to you.
Thank you for the glowing introduction, and I really appreciate all those kind words. It's my pleasure to be here. I guess I can tell. Sorry.
Sorry, really sorry, Kim. We have opened up for people if they want to. We're gonna try to be risk takers here. And if you go to Google Hangouts on Air, our Hangout right now is there, and you can join that. There's a Q&A back channel running if you want to. We'll try to both Amanda and I will try to watch the questions as they come up. If you're not sure you want to raise your hand up, we really do want people to be interactive. So if you prefer to use the back channel, go ahead and use the back channel on the Hangouts on Air Q&A. It looks like that, okay? And you can find it just by going to your Google Plus profile and Hangouts on Air. And if not, stick your hand in the air and we will get your questions to them, okay? And I'll be quiet now, Kim.
No worries. Okay, so I guess I'll tell you a little bit about what we're doing here at YIS. So right now I'm working at Yokohama International School in Japan, and we are a small school. We're about 650 students in our school, and I would say we're really open-minded and innovative and a risk-taking community where I would say teachers and parents are really supportive of what best practice in education could look like in the future, even if we haven't experienced it before ourselves. So that's a really exciting place for me personally to be working. And so we've been one-to-one for the last 3 years. I came to YS 4 years ago, and that was one of the first big projects we had after I arrived, was going into a one-to-one environment. So our one-to-one program is called our Connected Learning Community, and we've got all students from grade 4 to grade 12 have their own device. Grade 4 and 5, they stay at school, and 6 to 12, they take their device home. Different grade levels have different devices. Right now, we're transitioning into MacBook Air 11 inches. So all new devices issued will be MacBook Air 11-inch. And the reason why that is because we're moving towards a 2-to-1 program, meaning that each student will have 2 devices. And there are lots of kind of reasons behind that, and I'll try to give a little summary now, and then we can do questions after that. But what we're starting with is we're starting with a trial of grade 7. So all grade 7 students, starting next week, will have 2 devices, a Mac Air 11-inch and a iPad mini. So they'll have those 2 devices for the month of May, and then we'll kind of reflect on how that process went, and if it went the way we wanted it to and students are using the devices the way we want them to, then we'll continue that next year, and next year's grade 7 will have the 2 devices for the whole year, and then we'll see how that scales up after next year. And for the last, I guess it's been about 3 months, all the grade 7 teachers have had an iPad mini. We've been doing lots of training with the teachers, and we've been doing community focus groups with teachers, parents, and students together, and training with teachers and parents separately, and then now we're kind of bringing it all together with the actual trial starting next Thursday. That's kind of a summary there. Do we have any questions at this moment?
I have a question. What were some of the challenges you encountered?
I think the biggest challenge for us right now, first of all, we haven't started the initiative with students, so I don't know what's going to happen next week, so that will be very exciting. I think the biggest challenge is that we really don't know what this looks like. There aren't a lot of schools in the world that are doing this. There's very, very few schools that have school-issued multiple device programs. In fact, the only one that we could find is the Avenue School in New York. That's where, like, Surrey Cruise goes. Finding that kind of best practice to model our work on, it was really difficult. So what we had to do was combine what people do well with iPads and then what we know works well with laptops and kind of build that together, because there's no models for this yet, or very few, I should say.
I have a question. You said how the students use the devices the way you want. How do you want them to?
Did you hear that, Kim?
No, sorry.
The question is, you said that we want to see if the students use the devices how you want them to use them in the pilot. How is it that you want them to use them?
Yep. So one of the things that we've done is we've had a community focus group session with students, parents, and teachers together, and we broke that session down into 2 parts. The first session being what would success look like, and then how can we get there. And I think that success piece, what would success look like, is the really important part. And so what we're hoping to see is students using the 2 devices as complementary tools. For example, the iPad is really great for natural input handwriting, whereas that's quite difficult on a laptop. So we'd like to see them being able to use the devices for the purposes that they work really well for. The iPad is really great for taking media, so video and audio and images, and so we want to see them doing that instead of walking around, you know how they do, holding their laptop turned around, taking video, and walking up the stairs with their laptop open. It's not really meant to do that. So using the devices in the best possible way. Of course, another thing we'd like to see continue develop is our students' ability to make good choices. So thinking about balance, thinking about responsible digital citizenship, thinking about how they share and what they share and when they share. So taking that, which we've worked really hard to build with our connected learning community using laptops, taking all those skills and then applying them in a mobile setting. And I don't know what your schools are like, but our students, I would say, well, I know 100% of the 6 through 12 students have some access to a mobile phone. They're not all smartphones. I would say probably 80 to 90% have access to an iOS device, whether it's a iPod or an iPad or an iPhone. So they already have these devices in their lives, but they're not thinking about them the same way they think about their laptop, because their laptop is for school and their mobile devices are kind of their own. So we're hoping to make that transition between understanding how to use the device for kind of appropriate academic purposes in a laptop setting, also to a mobile setting. And then, of course, another element is the fact that the iPad can go lots of different places. So being able to take their iPad and learn in many different contexts was a criteria for success by the students' parents and teachers. One of the things the students noticed is that when they travel on the train, they get kind of looked at funny when they're using their computer, because it's not really common for Japanese people to have a computer open on the train. But if they have an iPad, that's kind of a normal thing. So they'll feel more comfortable doing work during their commuting time, which is a really nice thing for them, because that's a good chunk of time they can actually be a bit productive. I think I kind of addressed some of the big themes there.
We have a question on the Q&A, and we mark it as selected, so that when you go to watch this video on YouTube and it's been recorded, you'll see this question show up so that you know that it's being answered. Okay? So the question, Kim, is, since there are not many people doing this, how will you document what you are doing for the rest of the world to see?
Good question. That was one of our ways that we pitched this program, is that we can do the research and we can share what we're learning with everybody. So, of course, we have a blog. It's blogs.ys.ac.jp/iPads. So we've already got a blog where we're starting to document the learning that is going on with our staff. And we have a team of teachers that really needs to be pulled together better, and that's my job to do that, to do some action research on the actual impact of having the iPads in the classroom for the next month. So our goal is to actually write some kind of research and to be able to share that with schools who are interested. And I know that, just to give you another avenue, I know that WAB, Western Academy of Beijing, has done a lot of work in that area as well. So they've had various iPad trials, and that's another good connection that we're working together with WAB on that as well.
What are you doing to change the ideas of the teachers and the parents that are opposing this idea of 2-to-1?
Did you hear that, Kim?
I heard, what are we doing to change the ideas of the teachers and the parents that are opposing the idea?
Yeah. You should have some at least.
We have a really supportive and engaged parent community. I think people, I'm trying to think of the right words to say. I know that parents have concerns, but I think in general parents just want to be involved in the process, and we really try hard to do that. So because we're involving parents and teachers in the process, I think that helps it not feel like this is forced upon them, but that it's a community initiative. Having said that, I know that there are concerns, and I think what we do about those concerns is we involve as many people as we can. We have as many conversations as we can about the issues that are of concern, and I would say the #1 issue of concern, and has been the same since we instituted our one-to-one program, is balance, and kids being able to make good choices about how much time they spend online. So that's something we really focus on strongly at school, and it's something we encourage parents to focus on at home. So I would say that's the biggest concern, and it's a lot of it is education, whether it's small group PD for teachers, where we run monthly parent tech coffee mornings for the parents, or it's the community focus groups where we involve parents, or it's newsletters home to parents, or it's sharing videos with parents. A lot of it is about education and keeping the lines of communication open.
Yes, teachers. How much time do you spend educating the teacher on incorporating technology?
I didn't hear, sorry.
How much time do you spend educating the teachers
How to incorporate
how to incorporate the technology
into
into their lessons?
So I think that's kind of two parts, because we've already had the laptops for 3 years. So I would say that teachers feel really confident and really comfortable with a laptop in their classroom. Like they have their own laptop and all the kids have a laptop. That's a really comfortable feeling for, I think, all of our teachers. I mean, maybe a few people are still not entirely sure what to do, but for the most part, everyone feels really confident in that area. So now this is about how are we helping them feel comfortable with an iPad. And what we've done for that is we've had a number of all grade level meetings. So the whole 7th grade staff, which in our school is actually quite large for the size of our school, will come together and we'll share. And usually we don't teach directly to them. So my teaching partner, Clint Hamada, who's also a technology and learning coach, we don't teach directly to them. We kind of encourage teachers to teach each other. And we use different models for that, mostly small group learning. So we've had a couple of meetings where the whole grade 7 staff is together. And then we've asked teachers to create a smaller group of people they feel comfortable with, either because they're at the same skill level or they teach the same subject or they're interested in the same goals. And what they've done is they've met regularly every 2 weeks since we started the program. So when they have their meetings, often Clint or I will be at the meeting with them to support them, or we'll just kind of follow up with them informally and see how things went. And then in addition to those regular meetings where people are working in teams and sharing and collaborating together, we've had extended PD sessions with those same groups where we've made kind of a nice framework. I'm going to blog about it, a nice framework for a PD session with each small group team, where they've had an opportunity to explore what we're calling the Big 10 apps, so the top 10 apps that we want students to be able to use, and to understand how the use of these apps could transform learning in the classroom. And of course, there's always ongoing PD just at the school, because there are 2 of us that are technology and learning coaches. We can always support our staff, and then we've got regular PD after school. We've got regular PD in department meetings, those kinds of things that happen just as normal practice.
Yeah. So what I didn't really need the comfort level of having computers in classroom, and that other than like work process, how do you help the teachers incorporate technology into learning?
Okay, so more detail on how do you help teachers incorporate technology for learning objectives,
Not comfort.
not comfort. So I think if I'm right, you're asking about the actual teaching of the tools that the teachers are expected to use. So whether it's GarageBand or whether it's, I think that's what you're asking about, right? Which applications that the teachers would use in the classroom, how do they learn how to use those applications? Am I right? Is that what you're getting at?
Yes, technology.
Sorry, was there a clarification there? I can't hear. When she talks, I can't hear. Sorry.
It was more. Am I restating your question, Doctor, or do you want to come right up and answer it? Do you want to come do that? Yeah, that might be translating.
Sorry.
Hi. Yes.
Hi.
Basically, more than just their comfort level in the classroom with computers, how are you teaching the teachers how to use different applications or programs in order to then use that in their classroom? Because every teacher doesn't know GarageBand or Photoshop or whatever, and how are they adding this into their curriculum in a more meaningful way than just saying, okay, we use GarageBand to the students.
Yeah. we don't really operate by apps or programs. We operate by what do you want students to know and be able to do, and then how can we get there. And so the way we've kind of structured this PD is we've asked teachers to think about this 1 month time and what unit they're going to be teaching during this time span, and what do you want students to know and be able to do during this 1 month time span. And then we've asked them the traditional ways that they get there, like how would you normally get there, pencil and paper, how would you get there on a computer, how would you get there. And then we've looked at all the various apps to see what they could do. And then we've said, oh, well, now we can use this app to get at this learning objective, or we can use this app to get at this learning objective. So for me, it always starts with what do you want students to know and be able to do, and then everything else goes from there. So we don't teach GarageBand or Photoshop, ever, really.
We've got another question on the back channel on the Q&A. What are your top 10 apps? I know you don't teach them, but what
Good question. So one of the things I said about this whole process is that we don't really know exactly how things are going to turn out, right? So one of the things is with these apps, are these going to continue to be our top 10 apps, or are they just our top 10 apps right now? And the ones that we have right now, I feel like I should look at the website and make sure I'm correct. Google Drive. We're heavily into Google Apps for Education, so Google Drive is a no-brainer for us. Notability, and Notability is really great for annotating PDFs. So any sort of text document that you have, you can handwrite over it with Notability, which is super helpful. Photobabble, we think that teachers have kids talk about their learning a lot at school, so taking a photo and being able to record their voice over that photo and then share that learning is really powerful for us. Flipboard, looking at being able to create collaborative textbooks using the Flipboard app, and being able to kind of keep those textbooks really up to date. Voice Recorder HD, like I said, we do a lot of student reflection and recording of voices and creating media. So Voice Recorder HD over GarageBand, in that it's really super simple. We have GarageBand available to all the students too, but that's one of the ones in the top 10. I think iMovie's in the top 10. My gosh, I have 4 more to go. I was just looking at this today. Oh, Coach's Eye. Coach's Eye for annotating video. So like kids are performing a science experiment and annotating that video, or doing something in PE class and annotating, the swing of their arm as they're pitching the ball. Explain Everything for tutorial videos, or, well, to explain everything, kind of like a whiteboard that kids can record their voices and images and writing. And I've got 2 more. Pressure's on. If you give me a minute, I can actually open up the website and tell you for sure.
Keynote pages.
Keynote or Pages?
No. We'll see. Like I said, it's an experiment, right? So maybe that will become really important. But we do have them installed. We have all the iLife apps installed. Oh, YouTube Capture. How could I forget that? YouTube Capture and WordPress. Duh. So YouTube Capture for easily capturing video and then editing and uploading.
I hate that on the fly.
And WordPress, because we have every student at our school has a blog, so we want them to be able to update their blog as they're being mobile.
I have a question for you, Kim.
Yes.
We're piloting BYOD in our grade 6 classroom, and I also happen to be really lucky enough to house 10 iPads in a deck of 10 iPads in my room, and I have an Apple TV. And sometimes what I'm finding that I'm clumsy at is the transition between, am I doing something on my computer, am I projecting something from my computer, are we doing something from the iPad, where am I sharing from with the one projector? Can you talk a little bit about how you will work with teachers on that, what your classroom setup is like for working with the 2-to-1 devices?
Yeah. So we do not have Apple TV, sadly. Our projectors don't allow the HDMI cable, so we can't use Apple TV, which is kind of a bummer. But we've invested in AirPlay for all of our teacher computers. So every teacher computer has AirPlay, which basically does the same thing as Apple TV. It allows you to stream any iOS device through your computer then to the projector. So every teacher has access to that, which means every iPad in the room can be thrown up onto the projector, just like Apple TV. And I think I am also really learning how to be kind of seamless with that, and I am definitely not there. And Dana Watts, who formerly worked at the American Embassy School in New Delhi, she's amazing. When I see her flick between the two devices, she's worked in a one-to-one iPad school for the last year, and she's super seamless. So I know that it will come. The one thing that all of our teachers are talking about is they forget that when their iPad goes to sleep and they have to type in their password again, when it's projected, if it's already projected onto the screen, or they're typing in their password once they've opened it up to something else, it'll also show on the projector. So that's something to consider, that your password will show up on the projected screen. And then another thing we've talked about is that with AirPlay, anyone can stream through your computer, so you need to have a password on there. So you can either have an on-screen password, or you can have a password that you set. But if you have a password that you set and it's the same all the time, kids in another room might know what your password is and be able to stream from another room to your computer. And they might not do it on purpose. It might be accidental, but that's kind of a pain in the neck. So thinking about how you manage who gets to stream through to your projector is important. Is that what you're asking me?
Yep, that was it. Any other questions?
Are you planning to fully integrate technology into your lessons for next year? For example, when you open up your yearly plan, will you be able to see the technology just integrated into the lesson, so that you can say we will be doing the transition for next year? So what are your plans for next year?
I think already teachers have technology integrated into their lesson plans. The school's been one-to-one for a while, so that's kind of already an expectation. If you're talking specifically about the use of iPads, I think for our teachers, they'll be prepared for this final unit of the year, but if things go ahead next year, they'll need some additional time, just like they've had time this year, to plan units earlier in the year, which I think is totally legitimate. Like, we can't expect them to plan for next year right now if we don't even know what's going forward, which we hope it is, but.
There's another question on the Q&A. Could you expand on how you present the need for balance with the students?
Oh, yeah. So this is a huge topic, right? Because we happen to live in a country where the internet is really fast and easily accessible, and everybody's got devices, and they're constantly on their devices. So the idea of putting it away can be a really challenging one. And then there's also the concept that just because you're off your device doesn't make you balanced, right? Like, there are ways that you can relax and enjoy your life when you're on your device too. So this kind of separation of off and on is not legitimate either. So that's kind of a challenge for balance in general, I think, for everyone. But the way that we work with students is we have an orientation at the beginning of the year. Should I still keep talking or something wrong?
Nope, we're good.
Okay. At the beginning of the year, we have a 2-day orientation where we kind of refresh the key themes of our connected learning community, like our vision. And one of the things that we come back to every year is that concept of balance. And we do all sorts of different activities to get kids thinking about the way they spend their time online. We also have a digital citizenship week during the school year where we highlight, again, balance is a key theme there. We look at where students are spending their time online, how much time they're spending, is that valuable, is that productive, do they really want to spend that much time online, what happens when they spend that much time online, how rested are they feeling, all those kinds of questions that we all kind of wrestle with as adults. And then we have a digital citizenship curriculum that runs throughout the year and is delivered primarily in the humanities class. And within that curriculum, there's also the topic of balance. And then I like to think that most teachers feel really comfortable talking about this, and if it came up in class, they would be able to have kind of a conversation about it. And I know for me, as a teacher and as a tutor, I have a grade 6 homeroom, we call it tutor at YS. That's a topic that comes up quite a bit, and kind of making good choices and closing your lid an hour before you go to sleep, and kind of building in some of those strategies. And then for parents, we have those Parent Tech Coffee Mornings that I mentioned, and we have a list of resources for parents to help them take the strategies that we have at school and apply them at home. So some simple things we have at school are no laptops at break and no laptops at lunch, which sounds very black and white, but it's a little bit more difficult to enforce if it's not very black and white, so that's kind of an interesting conversation. So we encourage parents to also find times at home when it's a no laptop time. Maybe it's dinner time, and everybody puts their devices away, mom and dad included. We talk about strategies for making time online productive time, so using breaks and using apps to help you build in those breaks, like the Pomodoro technique, which lets you work for 15 minutes and then have a 5-minute online break and then work for 15 minutes, essentially kind of a timer. So apps like that, we strategize with parents, and we kind of give them the research that goes behind that, why you would want to do that. And we talk about things like having a contract, having a bedtime, turning off the internet at home if that's a challenge, because the kids have the laptop. They may put the laptop away, but they also have the phone. I think I've covered most things.
One other thought that comes to my mind in this, is being back in the classroom and watching kids on their devices all the time, is the ergonomics, physical impact of working at a screen and being bent over all the time. Is that something that ever comes up in discussions in your community?
Yeah, it comes up now and again, and I don't think we have a good answer for it, right? Because you're going to then have additional pieces you have to deal with. If you're really going to solve that problem, you need to have your monitor higher, your keyboard lower. Maybe you're going to even have a mouse or some other device. So it involves so many other pieces, and our students are constantly moving from place to place. It just makes that a bit more. I think a lot of the time at school, kids aren't sitting at desks. They're sitting on the floor, or they're hanging out. We, have different ways for kids to be seated. I definitely think it's a challenge. I don't think we have an answer to it, though.
We only have about 1 minute.
Okay, we have about 1 minute. There's one question at the back.
Do you have any health problems, like people opposing because of the wireless radiation or eye degeneration? I don't know.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Are there any questions raised in your community about Wi-Fi and radiation and issues? Nothing.
With the eyes.
I mean, this whole country is wired. And if you want to talk about radiation, we're talking about Fukushima. We're not talking about Wi-Fi.
That makes sense.
Absolutely. I guess we need to wrap up. Thank you very, very much, Kim, for your time today and your thought to all our questions on the fly like this, and really, really helpful, really, really useful.
My pleasure. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Again.
Cool. So you can follow Kim at MS Cafino on. Oh, you got it up there already. Got it.